So, how would you describe your marriage life while also being poly?
Honestly, I don't really think it's changed all that much since when we were monogamous. I think really the key thing throughout all of this has been that, we just continue to talk and communicate with each other, and just be, honest about, our needs and our desires so far as like, what it is we want with, potential other partners or with each other. Um, she, I guess somewhere along the way, realized that she was probably more, gay than she had initially thought, and like, was finding herself just like, less and less interested in men in general, and just kind of, I want to spend my time with women. Um, we've affectionately dubbed this Joe sexual because like she's very much into me still, but like pretty much like with other dudes, like there's just almost no interest at all.
Hey, that's fine by
Um,
you.
yeah, yeah, I don't mind. But and this was also again coming along a lot of our my personal explorations with kink and realizing that I had a strong desire for it to be more of a centerpiece, more prominent place in my life. I won't say
Okay.
centerpiece.
Yes.
And in a way that like, she didn't feel quite as comfortable, stepping into, like for her, it's more like a bedroom thing, kind of just like as we want to play or whatever. But for me, a lot of, a lot of the dynamics of a kink, relationship, um, really fascinate me, are kind of essential to, I guess, how I go about my day to day so far as like feeling, needed or, feeling responsible for someone. Um, so I mean, we were honest about it. We talked about it with each other. Obviously, it wasn't like the easiest conversation to have, but
Right.
again, I think something that I've always prided on, ourselves in our marriages and in our relationship as a whole. It's just that we've always been very straightforward. We've always been able to have hard conversations without, feeling like, it was difficult. I I don't like how many people I see like sweep things under the rug or brush things off or be like, "Oh yeah, I'll just worry about it later." I'm like, "No,
Mm.
just address it, be honest." And yeah, that's always been me.
How long did it take you to come to like a compromise or like a standing ground to where it wasn't
Um
uncomfortable?
let's see. So, we've been together for 10 years, since we first started dating.
Congratulations.
Married Thank you. I guess we've been married for 4.5 years now, almost 5.
Oh
Um,
wow.
and I think a lot of these arrangements started this arrangement and this understanding, I guess, came about, I guess, 2 years, 2.5, 3 years. It's kind of we'd kind of been discussing and talking about it halfway through
Hmm.
where we were at, and, I think it's only really started manifesting itself fully, about 2 years ago, so far as, like,
Okay.
us seeing other people and, starting to embrace the lifestyle.
Hmm. Nice. Well, that's good as long as you guys talk about it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, when you first like brought it up to her, because I feel like most people's thought process is about, oh, like, is poly like cheating and whatnots.
I mean, so cheating to me has always been it's not necessarily being the act of being with somebody else, right? Cheating is just breaking rules or breaking trust with your partner in some shape or form.
Hmm.
Um, I think for most people, yeah, like being with somebody else, outside the confines of your monogamous arrangements or your dynamic, right,
Right.
is cheating. Yes. But I think if you're able to at least discuss openly, your needs, right? Because like I think something that she and I both realize is that like the expectation that one person can fulfill every facet of your needs, right, is a lot to ask. It's a huge burden to carry.
Hmm.
And for most people that extends like, to like friendships and like, day-to-day interests and hobbies and stuff. You wouldn't expect your partner to be everything in your world, right? Like that's a
Right.
lot.
That's a lot
Frankly,
to
that's
ask for.
unhealthy, right? Um and I think for people engaged in non-monogamy, the understanding is that like, okay, well, let's just take that mindset that you have about, not being everyone's everything, right? And bring that into, intimacy as well, right? And
Right.
if as long as, and again, as I feel like as long as you've had that discussion properly, right? Um, and obviously, not just saying like, "Hey, I want to sleep with this person, so can
Hmm.
we be poly?" Like that's just not how you have that conversation, right? Like that's not how you want to go about doing this. And if you are interested in sleeping with somebody else, like one specific person, and use non-monogamy or poly as the explanation, that's not what you want. You just want to sleep with somebody else,
Yeah,
like
you do. Yeah.
so.
Well, you kind of touched on about it, but do you have any boundaries or rules? Since you two are married.
Um, not explicitly. I mean, like basically this whole process has basically been like, as long as communication is open, we're able to discuss things freely and just keep each other informed as much as we want to be, right? Like I'm sure she doesn't want to hear every detail about what I'm going about, and I don't
Yeah.
really need to hear everything that she's doing as well. I'm just happy for her that she finds people that she's interested in with and can enjoy being with. Those are kind of the only things that we've really made sure to stick to. Again, like I think it's good that both of us continue to affirm each other in that, like
Hmm.
ultimately you are still the person that I want to come back to at the end of the day.
Hmm.
And how far that extends so far as how deep we develop our external partners or whatever, or sometimes if it's both of us are involved with a partner, it we just talk, we're just honest, and how we decide to go about doing that, just you know as long as we're honest, I think that's always been the most important thing.
Yeah, it is super important. Just being open and talk about it. You
Yeah.
know, it's when we talk about it, it's super simple, but to most people, it's hard, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think people are just, I mean, with good reason. I think people are afraid to, be honest with themselves, right? In the fear of breaking something, in the fear of like, scaring someone away or making somebody upset. And with good reason, right? Like, I mean, we live in a society and a culture that has raised us and conditioned us, basically from birth, that monogamy is the only way that this is acceptable, right?
Hmm.
And again, I'm not saying monogamy is wrong or anything. Like
Hmm.
what works for you. And if you're happy and, your partner is happy in that arrangement, then yeah, by all means, stick to that. That's absolutely, a viable way to live. And the same reason, like I would also say to people, like, non-monogamy is certainly not for everybody, right? Like it's a lifestyle that requires a lot of communication and being upfront. And for some people, especially non-confrontational people, that can be super hard to do.
Yeah.
People who aren't honest with themselves can really struggle in this lifestyle. And not only themselves, but other people as well.
Hmm. Joe, what does being married and marriage mean to you?
Um, I mean, marriage to me feels more like a construct of our society more than anything else. That
Hmm.
a you know that whoever it is you have chosen to be your marriage partner, right, is going to share in whatever legal benefits and social benefits come with being married, right?
Hmm.
I think for me and my wife, we've always kind of seen it more as partnership as opposed to being married. And then and that commitment to each other in the long term of being married. Just I don't again, no, I don't think anything really changed after our
Hmm.
wedding. Like we just sort of like, oh well, I guess we're officially married now, and we had a party. Nothing's really changed, but I guess there is something. There was something very nice. We had a very low key wedding that we just like kind of did everything ourselves. Just very small, intimate kind of ceremony with friends and family of
Nice.
you know very simple. But I still like very much appreciated that the intimacy and the I don't want to call it sacred, but like it was it was it was it was a moment that I'll always cherish, and being able to share some very genuine vows with each other,
Hmm.
that we both wrote ourselves, that we were you know both committed to memory, and we're able to look each other in the eye when we're saying them, and I think it was good for people to see that as well. I think a lot of our friends still talk about our wedding as being one of the funnest ones they've
Yeah.
had. So yeah, I
Nice.
take pride in that.
That's awesome. Listen to the full episode on all major platforms.